Tune into ESG Matters with Risk Insights, where we explore ESG with impact. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of ESG Matters with Risk Insights. I'm your host, Anushka Bogdanov. Thank you for the support and keep posting and sharing. Also, join me in congratulating Kenya for their successful Climate Africa Week, and a huge congratulations to Risk Insights for its relationship with the Nairobi Securities Exchange, the first stock exchange in Africa to partner with an ESG rating provider to drive sustainability and ESG. But before we dive into today, I also want to send positive energy and my prayers to Libya, where thousands have been killed and families affected due to the floods after Storm Daniel. Here in South Africa, the devastating impact of the gale force winds and the rains in Cape Town have affected many lives. The impact of climate change and the ability for societies to manage this change and have sufficient resources is very dependent on leadership in the public and the private sector across the globe. The need to embrace stakeholder capitalism is becoming more important and relevant. Emerging economies are worst affected as we do not have the adequate resources in the systems to deal with humanitarian crises to manage climate risk. ESG disclosure for corporations and governments to take into consideration all of the 17 SDG goals of the United Nations, which postures countries and companies to adopt these to create a sustainable future for all. Last week, we explored the banking and financial services ratings in Africa and congratulated and appreciated Absa Bank and Nedbank for their high disclosure scores using the ESG GPS rating disclosure tool. Risk Insights rates over 800 listed companies across 6 major African exchanges, with its coverage of ESG being the largest for Africa in the world. From this approximately 800 companies that Risk Insights has rated and dissected the ESG disclosure, only 4 companies have received an ESG disclosure score of 4, which is the highest that can be achieved. The other 2 companies in Africa through ESG GPS are REDEFINE from the real estate sector in South Africa and Life Healthcare Group from the healthcare sector in South Africa. So congratulations again to these companies for being impactful and being drivers of change, and notably competitively positioning themselves as companies of the future. Now, ESG GPS considers multiple factors and metrics when producing an ESG rating. These factors include the data disclosed by the company via their environmental, social, and governance factors, monitoring the change in market capitalization, that is the firm size, as well as the sentiment of the company within the market it operates. It is important for a company to report its ESG disclosure and report transparently and consistently, but it is also important for the market to judge the overall reputation of the company. So if a company is disclosing and reporting profits, there are also other numerous positive and negative feeds regarding the company, which also impacts the ESG GPS rating. Today, news is digital, and therefore companies that receive great ESG ratings sometimes have been accused of window dressing or greenwashing. This ultimately means society is holding office bearers to account so that long-term value is created. The change from capitalism of the better half of the 20th century to stakeholder capitalism of the 21st century is a fundamental change in economics for the globe. Wall Street was founded on the theories of consumption and capitalism of Milton Friedman, which was a major part of modern-day economics, the drive of capitalism through consumption. However, climate change and the Paris Agreement and the changes in legislation across the globe and the move towards a more inclusive society is a positive change that will drive the next economic and social revolution of the 21st century. This change is about being fair, inclusive, transparent, but still creating value, not just for shareholders, but for all stakeholders. Leadership across the globe needs to adjust to this. And this metamorphosis is not just affecting Africa, but the entire globe. Many senior leaders and officials are finding this adjustment extremely difficult and cannot fathom this change. But it is here, and I can only say that this is for the good. But for those that cannot see this change and would like to just manage alpha for profits and not for sustainable long term return, will fail or have very marginalized returns. I was recently at a meeting and I heard an executive say to a crowd, "We believe in ESG, but we need to look at our alpha before ESG." And this was a major asset manager, which upon reflection shows the poor ability to adjust to the new world of inclusivity and transparency with value creation by sacrificing short term profit for long term gain. Pension funds and retirement funds will be severely impacted by this new economics, which is creating freaky comments through fear. The world is going through this change. Auditing companies, Fortune 500 companies, listed companies, companies that are privately held, that are part of the value chain or the supply chain, are all affected by sustainability standards and ESG reporting and readiness. Companies that are irresponsible and negligent, that will place profit before people and society, will find every excuse about sustainability and reporting being impractical and cost consuming. These standards are here to protect society and all natural capital to leave the world in a better place than we found it. So, the ESG and SDG goals are here to keep us accountable to society and our environment. It makes us more conscious of our biasness and it removes the isms to treat everyone that we hire or appoint equitably, irrespective of race, color, age, or gender. SDG goals through ESG reporting are here to keep us human and accountable for our actions. Selling sustainable products or issuing green bonds does not make a company sustainable. It is important for a company to be sustainable within itself. To do this, it has to ensure that it looks at its journey of its human resource practices, its current workforce, its people, and their well being, training and development of staff, mental wellness, well being of employees, its inclusivity and diversity policies, its stats, its targets, and its KPIs for this. Gender pay gaps of different levels within a company, how it contributes to social initiatives. These corporate social initiatives, do they actually make a difference to society? Are they measured and monitored? The inclusivity from a bottom up and a top down approach is extremely important. Are these included in the KPIs for the remuneration of the CEO? Now, these are just a few metrics that can only make a difference to employees and society. So, why would companies or people within companies be against this? Recently, I also heard Warren Buffett say that his companies do not pay much attention to ESG reporting as his companies are already doing the right thing. So, this would really mean that we do not need auditors or financial reporting to stakeholders if companies are doing the right thing. Warren Buffett made his fortune during the Milton Friedman era of capitalism and consumption. Sustainability goals of the United Nations are here to keep the world together and fight for the planet and its people so that nobody gets left behind. ESG reporting is gaining momentum. Whilst reporting is still maturing and companies are slowly adopting standards that are fluid, non financial disclosure is meant to transform and future proof companies to be resilient and to ensure sustainable returns for all stakeholders. I'd like to share a story that really had an impact on me, and it was shared with me by one of my Harvard colleagues, and I hope it also impacts you. It's called What a Packet of Biscuits and a Hungry Young Girl Taught Me. So here the story goes. I was waiting at a train station to go to Ooty for the day. The train had not arrived, and I was simply passing my time talking with friends, clicking pics, watching the crowd of travelers come in and pose around. Seeing me, a girl of about 10 years of age came to me and said, "Sir, please buy these pens. I will give you 2 pens for 10 rupees. I am hungry and I will get something to eat." With her was a little boy who was wandering around, maybe her brother. I said, "Well, I don't need a pen." Her next question was very startling. "Then how will we eat something?" I said, "I don't want a pen, but you will definitely eat something." I had 2 packets of biscuits in my bag. I took out both the packets and handed one to each one of them. But I was surprised when she returned 1 packet and she said, "Saab, one is enough. We will share it." I was utterly surprised to hear this, and I said again, "It's okay, you can keep both. It doesn't matter." The girl's reply shook me to my core and my soul. She said, then what will you eat? In this world where people earn crores at the cost to keep humanity hungry and needy, this hungry girl taught me the ultimate lesson of humanity. Don't take so much from someone out of greed that we eat their share as well. There is a fundamental principle: try to give more than what you can take and make humanity live. I hope this story shook your core and your soul. It definitely has impact. So join me again for another episode of ESG Matters with Risk Insights. Don't forget to share, to send a like, comment, and share this podcast with your friends. I look forward to you joining us again. Ciao for now.